Hey everybody, welcome back to the Black Girl Flow podcast. It is your fave duo, Liv and Lex, here just hoping that y'all are having a phenomenal week. Just really embracing all that life has to offer to you, enjoying all the ebbs and flows, and staying hydrated.
It's giving Summer's Over interlude by Drake.
It really is. It really is. And I know I feel like I've been saying that for a couple of weeks, which I now don't know if it became like self-fulfilling prophecy, but it really does feel like it's the end of summer now.
How about in this space and time, we all just make a pact that summer is actually over, like in September. I need a little bit of time.
No thanks. I'm okay.
Pact rejected. Okay.
Veto.
Heard you. You ready for the fall vibes? I'm ready for fall too.
It will be so interesting with like there won't be daylight savings this year. And I keep like waiting for what that's going to feel like. But I was like, oh my gosh, I hate the winter because it gets so dark so early. Yeah. But I was like, wait, I know it still will partially happen, but it won't be that bad.
What's your fall itinerary looking like? Pulse check.
This is the most Capricorn question you could have given me.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I shouldn't act like my zodiac sign.
No, the fall's got good vibes in store. It's like a little bit busy, a little bit not busy. So honestly, this holiday season should be pretty chill. So
you gave me the most Aquarius answer ever. Like I got nothing from that, but a general consensus. So thank you so much for indulging me.
I gave you my everything.
You know what urge I'm having this fall? Like to go to a football game. And to like,
what?
I know, I'm not even interested in sports.
If you saw my face, what?
Well, if you're streaming on YouTube, we can see your face. But listen, like something about football season, like when it's crisp outside or just like going to a sporting event where it's outside and you can like dress cozy and feel the vibes and the energy of just being together. Yeah. Like that would be really cool.
Okay. Yeah, it's giving
fall bucket list.
Homecoming.
Yeah, I don't know about actually going back to
your alma mater,
everyone is, but yeah, something like that, I guess.
It's like the closest football game we're gonna get.
Yeah, if anybody has like
wants to take me out on a date,
tickets to an actual football game,
yeah,
please let me know. Just slide in my DMs.
Well, how has the final days of summer been treating you, Liv?
It's been good, honestly. I think each day is kind of a different ebb and flow of how I feel when it comes to just being at this stage in my life. Sometimes I feel like, oh my gosh, like this is so dope. I'm 23, like doing the dang thing, doing everything I set out to do. And then other days I'm like, what are we doing? Where are we at? Like for real, just trying to get a grasp on life and what I want out of it. And I think one epiphany that I've shared with you, but I haven't shared with everyone here, is that like community is something that's been so important for me. And I think a theme in my life this year, community and creativity. And so I've been trying to like figure out what that actually means for me and how to set more roots in North Carolina. So if you listen to the podcast and you're from North Carolina, please hit me up because I'd probably love to hang out and just do something cool. But I think just reflecting on what that means for me, because I think when things aren't, you know, looking exactly like the vision I had in my head, I'm like, okay, well, time to travel, time to do other things.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to just like embrace the season of life that I'm in right now and not like go to what feels good, but just seek, you know, being like having a little bit of willpower almost.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty magical.
It might sound more magical than it feels. I don't think it's very magical. I think it's giving growing pains. But I think that I'm grateful every day for like the clarity.
Yeah.
To know what, you know, what's next.
Yeah. And that like you're finding your rhythm and rhyme.
Exactly. We're grateful. Anything's coming up for you in this period of life?
Nah, man.
It's just giving girl boss on your end.
Everybody says that. That's not the brand I'm going for.
Well, it's like kind of
recently people have been like reminding me of everything that I'm doing, and it's like that's never the goal. Like the worst thing is when people are like, how are you? Like you're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this, you have this many jobs, you have this, and I'm like, dang, like, don't remind me. Like, I barely think about that in like totality. So it's kind of like when people say that, I'm like, dang, like, I think I'm okay. Like,
how are you doing?
It's literally the like, how are you? And I'm like,
I know you're just probably stressed and running around with it.
Oh my gosh, you're just like so busy, right? And I'm like, dang, like, yeah, but like, not really.
I've adjusted, so
yeah,
please
I think
adjust.
I think that's probably what it is.
Okay, well, yeah. I think just because you don't want to claim the girl bossness of it all. It's still giving girl boss, which is great.
Okay, we'll take it. Take it. But I think I'm really excited for today's episode because this is like a very interesting like lull of our lives to be in, of like, you know, figuring out what's next while also adjusting to the new branding of course, maybe our lives and our endeavors. And there's been something that I've been thinking about a lot that I wanted to bring to the podcast, which was this idea of like jealousy and comparison. Because we've talked a little bit about comparison and how, you know, comparison can be the thief of joy, and like, you know, that's just not always the mindset that's healthy for us, that can help us get to what we want when we want to have community. But recently I've just been thinking about that, and I'm like, jealousy is such a natural reaction to have to something that I feel like we need to bring it to this space and just be like, okay, sometimes it's hard not to compare and look at what somebody else is having and saying, I want that. And it's like, sometimes it's hard not to look at the grass is always greener on the other side, especially when your friends might be like leveling up in their life or settling down or like doing these things or traveling. And it's like, I feel like that happens a lot over summer too, because you're like, how did everybody end up in Italy this summer? Like, I want to be there. Like, I want to be doing that. So whether it's that, and I just think we need to unpack it.
I think jealousy is super healthy, but
you think it's healthy?
Yeah, I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that we are human and that we experience certain emotions. I do think that depending on the context, it can be like it can become really unhealthy in what you do with that jealousy, what you do with that emotion. Because I think for me, since we've labeled it as something that's bad and that we shouldn't experience, I've done a lot of work to curve that. So I'm not even sure if I completely like acknowledge the fact that, oh wow, like right now I'm feeling jealous because my friends are able to do X, Y, and Z, or I'm feeling jealous because I've been sitting in, you know, like trying to manifest something, manifest a blessing that seems so easy for other people to manifest, but I haven't been able to experience that. And I think I've just tried to curve that and think of other things. So I think it's really cool that we're bringing this topic to light. And I was on TikTok the other day. Of course, that's like what every other story starts off with, me being on TikTok. But I was on TikTok and there was this Black girl that is a part of, I think, Alabama Rush.
Is she friends with that really, really popular?
I don't know. Listen, I really don't. I know enough to get by in pop culture these days. Maybe.
Okay.
Listen, she was talking about how she was jealous of a different white girl that was that was getting, I think, a bunch of brand deals and stuff for Alabama Rush and stuff. And this is like a quick and dirty rundown, y'all, because again, I don't know everything there is about Alabama Rush. Sometimes I find myself
the person who like cuts stitches it halfway through and like tells you what the whole story is about, especially on TikTok.
There is a special place in my heart for people like that. But as I was on TikTok, there was this Black girl that was talking about how she was jealous of this white creator that was getting a bunch of like brand deals and stuff. And Jackie Aina actually stitched it and was like, I love how she's acknowledging the fact, you know, that this is something that's normal. And also when it comes to Black content creators, we can't have the same expectations of like immediate growth, immediate success that like our white counterparts experience. So being like, yo, I'm really frustrated right now because this person, you know, is able to have this way quicker than I've ever been able to get something, and I put in more work than them. Like, that's natural to be like, yo, I'm jealous. I think when it comes to like relationships, like interpersonal romantic relationships, that's a little trickier because it's like, okay, what are we?
You're closer to the person and you're like closer to proximity to the potential consequences of like having that kind of jealous eye.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just don't think, like, do you feel like it's normal to talk about? I don't feel like we might talk about it in nuanced ways, but like if I really was like, yo, I'm jealous.
It would be giving like, yo, that's gross.
Yeah.
Like, why are you jealous?
Exactly.
You have everything you need within you. What are you talking about? You shouldn't feel that way.
I know. It almost does like cue condescending responses.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh, why are you jealous? Like,
Yeah.
you are totally fine where you're at and you'll figure it out, girl.
Not the girl.
How many times have I heard this in my life?
And that's what I'm saying, because I'm like, when I really think about it, like, we do not talk about this well in our day-to-day or like society. And I don't even think, like, even with my friends, like, I could really be like, yo, like, I'm really jealous of like what they're doing. Like, and I agree. I don't know sometimes if I have done so much like reframing in my life that like now I'm trying to cultivate so much abundance. It's like, okay, like, I love that for them. Like, maybe it's not for me, and like they're doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But I think I have to be jealous at sometimes.
Yeah.
I think sometimes I am, especially of people who like, and I say it is such a hard thing to talk about, because it's like sometimes
you're struggling.
I literally, because I hate even speaking it out, because it feels so yucky. Like,
you're not supposed to feel these emotions.
Yeah.
Stop.
I immediately start reframing and like justifying it, because I want to say, like, I am so jealous of people who like work one job and get like a fat salary.
Yeah.
Like, I work really hard and like work multiple jobs. And see, I'm like, already, but I'm like, but I love my jobs, and like, I know I'm doing my passion, but it's like, dang, I would love to just like come home and like get to buy a designer bag sometimes. But then I'm like, would I really? I don't know. But I think that is some part of like seeing something and just being like, no. But now I'm like, oh, but everything's like a cost benefit analysis. There's pros and cons to everything. The grass is always greener on the other side.
And I think that that's beautiful, because I think when you are more rooted in gratitude and like appreciation of what you have in the present moment, and recognizing that other people's journeys are different and yada, 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 then you're able to come to a consensus
all
of
that
like,
woo woo nonsense.
all of the things, like, you're able to then return to yourself and be like, I'm perfectly fine where I'm at, and when it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. Because I think if 99% of us wanted to show up as or wanted to have the ideal life that we see our future version in our head like having, we wouldn't be able to even accept the blessings that we receive, because we haven't been able to get through battling imposter syndrome. We haven't been able to live in gratitude, live in the present, like, stop talking crap about the people in our lives that have actually achieved those things. Like, there's so much work that we have to get done, like being consistent with our craft, that like it would be so unfair for us to jump to the future version of ourselves and then end up fumbling that entire bag because we weren't ready to receive that blessing. So that's how I've been trying to
come correct.
That's how I've been trying to like curve my mindset. And I think I really didn't realize this was like subconsciously jealous thinking before, honestly, until this moment when I was creating content. And this was like when Black Girl Luxury really just like popped off, and everybody was trying to imitate like each other and show off their lifestyles. And I felt like at that time you had to spend money in order to make money as a content creator. And that, you know, to a certain extent is true, like when you have a business, but it shouldn't ever put you in debt. And I think that that's the piece of what we were even talking about a couple episodes ago with the slow living, or with the soft living versus like Black Girl Luxury. Like, you shouldn't be so delusional to the point where your choices are putting you in a situation that you're in debt because you were jealous of other people and you like their lifestyle, so you're trying to copy what was easier for them to promote. And we never know the full story behind everything. So I really had to like check myself and be like, girl, we are not rich. We are not in the position to be like acting like we have this
opulence.
And I think after doing that, I was on a hiatus for a while, just trying to figure out what I needed to share to feel good and what I needed to do to create that environment that I still felt good in.
Well, and I think that's probably the like most valid part of this conversation too, which is that like you really can't prevent yourself from consuming things and immediately jumping to that like comparison or jealousy mindset, but it is kind of like what you do have control of is like how you react to that after that moment.
Literally.
And it's like you can curtail it and you can kind of like stop it or reframe it, because at the same time it's like if you were to just have stuck in that, like you would have been definitely contributing not just to that culture, but then spiraling yourself because you weren't even doing it because you really wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Like you were doing it off of just like the aesthetics of it.
Right.
And sometimes I think that game of comparison can really get us caught up in a game that we were really never meant to win.
No, seriously. Like I look at other people. I think when I'm experiencing jealousy, I think it's primarily, let me think, like when do I feel the most jealous? Or when do I feel like, oh, that would be nice more so? I think when it comes to relationships and having like a partnership is something that I really crave.
She said, "Oh, I want somebody to rub that booty."
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah, like when people experience that, or when it comes really easy to people, like, you know, you might see someone in a loving relationship and then it ends and then they're like, oh, well, I just met the love of my life right after that. Like, how? Because I'm out here trying, like I'm out here doing the things. But at the same time, like I am only responsible and in control of my narrative.
Yeah.
And I like think that there are so many things I'm able to do in this moment because I am single and I am young and I am like,
yes,
I have so many things going for myself.
We were just talking about that.
That's what I have to think about when I feel
like,
those.
Enjoy that phase, that in between phase of it all.
Yeah, because I won't always be able to have this amount of free time with my 6-figure business and my family and my mans and my travel itinerary. Is not always gonna look like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I just think that we need to keep talking about this because I feel like there's still even more to unpack, where it's like, because now I'm thinking about, it's like it's not just like career things that it can be, and it's like, and it's not just personal things. I think just really like who we also surround ourselves with.
Ooh.
And how they view us when we're thinking about cultivating community. It's like, well, you could totally be grounded in who you are, and be like, I'm combating that with like all of these tools. But imagine if you were hanging around me and I low-key had the like side eye and like had that jealousy mindset, and I was hanging around you. Like, you don't want the people around you to be always comparing or always doing that tit for tat game.
Yeah.
It's like that also, it doesn't cultivate good relationships. So I feel like it's not just even a mindset that we have to be mindful of.
Yeah.
We also have to be mindful that the people around us don't have that, which is like, we're really sitting here being like, wait, when was the last time?
Right.
But I really feel like sometimes we don't realize that we might have a hater amongst us. And not that it's a bad thing, but just like recognizing that somebody who's having those thoughts directed towards you, that could be affecting like your aura and like the energy around you.
Yeah, I feel like it's often in our inner circles where that person that's jealous.
She said it's in the house. She said they're in the house.
Yeah, like I think that it's more often than not like someone's jealous that we know, that we're close with. And that's like a hard pill to swallow, because it's like, as my friend, as my family member, you should be rooting for me and I should, you know, respect your journey. And I think what oftentimes might help curb jealousy on my end also is hearing more authentically where people that I might want to be at are like at mentally with it all, because there are battles that and challenges that you're gonna have to experience in each phase of life. Like no phase of life is just peachy clean, like no problems ever. There's always gonna be things that we like experience that we have to make do with. So sometimes when I do see people that are like, oh, like living this fabulous life from the outside looking in, it looks great, but if I'm close to you, like, let's talk about it. Not so I can be like, oh, haha, they're doing worse than I actually imagined, but more so to be like, yo, like this person is human and they're dealing with their own things and I'm dealing with my own things. And I can also use them as a resource to get to where I want to be, you know, by just like being a good friend, being a good person. I also like was thinking about this idea because I grew up in a very like lower income like family. I don't say very, but like lower income family. And I remember there was a period of time where I'd really wanted to go to private school, and my mom and my dad kept like going back and forth about it. And uh, we could afford the price, I think, of going to private school, but it was my mom's fear of not of having me around other kids that had even more than I did, and me like aspiring to be on their level, and like coming back to her and being like, well, this person's able to do this, like why can't I do this? And it just being a snowball effect. And that's like, honestly, at the time I didn't really understand it, but now I completely understand it.
Yeah. That's actually super funny, because I went to private school and I wanted to go to public school. So if that is not the ultimate, grass is always greener on the other side.
On the other side, yeah.
Like, and was begging, like, put me in public school, like the streets. I need.
Yeah. So we were just like looking for each other's
we were on the opposite side of the same like little eye hole.
Yeah. And in public school, like it was a situation where for most of my public school experience, I had more than the people that were around me. Yeah. So I imagine if I went to private school and I was like, actually.
And I remember, and I think that, you know, this is kind of my summation of thoughts in the sense that, because it's like, yeah, we really can only just be aware of it and try and combat it, and then try and engage in authentic relationships to gauge how people are. But I remember listening to a podcast once about happiness, and it was like, happiness is just all about your reference point. Like, if you want to feel really bad about yourself, compare yourself to Oprah, because like she really got it going on. But if you also want to feel really good about yourself, compare yourself to somebody who's, you know, experiencing homelessness or something like that. And it's like, you've got it really good. And it was like that reminder to me of like, dang, like I really do pick how I view and interact with the world around me. And I can't stop myself from having like raw, real emotions, but I can control how that like sits and settles in my body. Was like so big. And I think that's probably where my work around trying to mitigate that. But you can't do that when you're little. And sometimes people don't even do that until they're super, super old.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those things, again, of like self-reflection, like, you know, because it's like you could, as you're saying, like you could really feel happy about your life until you encounter someone that like really just has it going on. You're like, wait, like I'm actually not doing anything. My life sucks all of a sudden. Like your brain just switches. But it is all about like asking yourself, where do I want to be? And like, how can I take the little baby steps of getting there without actually burning myself out?
Exactly. Well, I want to hear everybody's juicy stories. I want to hear the times you were jealous of your friends, your coworkers, your family, even social media influencers,
and how you processed it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's the key. I'm like,
we got to do our confessions first.
with so much access to social media, it's like a non-stop like content catapult. Yeah. It's like, geez. So it would be great to hear your juicy stories and hear how y'all processed it.
Well, we'll see y'all next time. And with that,
peace, love, blessings. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.